بسم الله.
Bismillah. We'll make a start, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina wa Habibina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so welcome you to lesson 6 today. Lesson 6. Today, inshallah, we are going to look at the contribution of Islam in terms of art and architecture. Art and architecture. A very important topic, especially in terms of da'wah. When we are calling people to Islam, then especially people in Europe and in America, many of them really enjoy Islamic art. You know, like they have a very bad view of Islam because of the media. They think Islam is violent, they think Islam is a bad religion, it harms women, and all these things that they believe, incorrectly obviously. But they love Islamic art and architecture. They still love the beauty of Islamic art. So it's a very important topic for us to learn about. So we'll talk about this, and afterwards we can do the recap of these questions of what we learned last time. Okay. First question for you guys. How do we define art? Art is something quite difficult to define, maybe. Art is fun, isn't it, in Arabic? How do we define art? Anybody? Where's the
It's using your imagination to create something beautiful.
MashaAllah, brilliant. That's a very good definition actually. Yeah, so using your imagination to create something beautiful. Yeah, so I really like that. That's a good definition, MashaAllah.
It is a way to express your beauty in different ways.
Way to express your...
It's a way to express your beauty.
Yes, very good, yeah. So a way to express beauty in different ways, very good. These are the key things. When we think about art, we think about beauty. It's showing Jamal, the Jamal that exists in the world. It's about creativity, ibda'. Yeah, it's about imagination, our khiyal, and using our imagination in a good way. This is what art is. Yeah, so let's have a look at it. This is the definition we find in the dictionary. Yeah, so it's the expression or application. Application to apply something of human creative skill and imagination. Yeah, so it's creative skill and imagination. Yeah, this is what art is. Typically in a visual form. Generally, it's in a visual form. It's not always, but generally it's in a visual form, such as painting or sculpture. Yeah, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Yeah? So art creates works that people like to look at, like to see the beauty of. Yeah? This is the definition that they give of art. Okay, another definition. Before I go to say, let me ask you a question. Why do I always bring two definitions? Have you noticed whenever we look at a topic, I will always bring more than one definition? Why? Why do you think that is?
Explain vocabulary.
Explain the vocabulary, that's true. Yeah, definitely it explains the vocabulary in more detail, yeah. But what about words? Can words have more than one meaning? Anybody? Yeah, this one.
Maybe it's not to show the surface meaning and the deeper meaning.
Excellent, yes, very good. It's meant to show the outward, the surface meaning, you can say, the apparent meaning, like the zahir meaning, and then the inward meaning, the deeper meaning. Also, if you look at words, like for example in Arabic we have this. We have the lughawi meaning, and then we have the istilahi meaning. Yeah, so something what does it mean in the language, and then what is the technical meaning, the istilahi meaning in the science, like that, yeah? Like mashallah, we have wajdi here. Wajdi means one thing, and then the Ahlul Tasawwuf use in a different way, and then maybe the Ahlul Aqidah with Ahlul Kalam use in a different way, like this. Yeah? So you have words and you have different ways, so it's the same thing here.
So, linguistically and technically.
Sorry?
Linguistically and from the technical form.
That's right, yes. So you have the linguistic meaning, then you have the technical meaning. And even the technical meaning is different, depending on the subject. So the technical meaning according to one subject is different according to another subject. This is one of the debates they have, isn't it, among scholars, is the meaning of a word, like, you know, the Usuli scholars say this is the meaning, And then the scholars of Aqid say this is the meaning, and scholars of fiqh say this is the meaning. This is common. So it's the same thing in English as well. Any language that is at a deep level, that's expressing deep ideas, there's going to be different definitions. Okay? Okay, yeah, so this is what we can say art is. So in the second definition, the various branches of creative activity. Yeah, so the different types of creative activities such as painting, music, literature and dance. And many others as well that all come under the term art. Art is very, very broad. It's wasi'a, so extremely broad. Okay, so Islamic art. A very important question to start off with. What is the purpose? What is the maqsad? What's the purpose behind Islamic art? Why did Muslims produce great art? What's the purpose behind it? Anybody?
For the Muslim or for the non-Muslim?
For the Muslim. Like the Muslim artist, why is he producing art? What's he trying to show?
To show the beauty of Islam.
Good, excellent, yeah, we can say that. We can show the beauty of Islam. Good, yeah, God.
To attract the attention of non-Muslims.
Okay, yes, to be able to draw hearts closer, maybe the hearts of non-Muslims closer to the truth of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Good, yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
Also maybe a way of expressing their ideas and feelings.
Very good, yeah, a way of expressing your ideas, your feelings and your thoughts. Because sometimes when you express it in art, it's more acceptable. People will accept ideas when they're in an artistic form, instead of you just talk about it. Yeah, we see this with our God. So here we go. So Islamic art is there's 2 or 3 aims. One is to show that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at the center of everything. So Islamic art was done, whatever the art is showing you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at the center of everything. Yeah? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the central theme and concept in everything that we think about in Islam. Yeah? And also, that's number one. The second reason is to show the beautiful balance. Yeah, the mizan, we can say, or the iqtidar, the balance Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed in creation. He has placed everything in perfect balance. And the most beautiful example of that is the human being himself. Yeah, the human being, we are created in a balance. And that's why one of the great artists of Italy, his name was Leonardo da Vinci. You might have heard of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci had this idea of the golden ratio, he called it. And he said, in nature, in the world, we see this balance in everything. Yeah, we see this balance in what we call the golden ratio. We see this balance in all things. Yeah, this balance is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed in creation. Yeah, so this is another purpose. Another thing here, like we said, somebody mentioned, I think Wesley mentioned it, which is a very good point, is that Islamic art aims to produce beautiful works that appeal to the fitrah of the human being. For example, Wesley said that the fitrah, whether you're a Muslim or a non-Muslim, everybody has a fitrah, everybody has a ruh, has a soul, and the soul, the ruh, loves to see beauty. It doesn't matter who you are, the soul loves to see beauty. So the Muslim artist will produce beautiful works that everybody can appreciate, whether you're a Muslim or you're a non-Muslim. Yeah? So it appeals to the fitrah of the human being. That's why it's so important from the point of view of da'wah. Alright, so what different types of Islamic art can you think of? Anybody here? What different types of Islamic art are there? Drawing, okay, yeah, definitely. Drawing is one of them. Yeah, what else?
Painting.
Painting, mashallah, Jade, yeah, painting definitely is another one, yeah. Calligraphy, mashallah. Calligraphy is probably the most famous, mashallah, yeah. Calligraphy was probably the most well-known, like when, definitely a non-Muslim, if you ask somebody in the UK, what do you think about Islamic art, the first thing they'll say is calligraphy. That's the first thing that comes to mind, definitely, mashallah, very good. Yeah, any others? Drawing, painting, calligraphy.
Poetry.
Poetry, mashallah, yeah. So poetry, which we'll talk about then, is probably the greatest of all of the forms of Islamic art. Poetry is mashallah, yeah. Poetry of the Muslims is vast in many languages. Like it has been mentioned by many historians, the Prophet ﷺ himself is praised in every language. And the Prophet ﷺ, you find poetry praising him in every language. Yeah, mashallah. So this is something that we find throughout the world. Okay, so here we go. So we've got Islamic architecture. So we've got art Islamic art that is expressed through buildings, through producing buildings, whether they be masajid, whether they be madaris, whether they be mosques or schools, yeah, whether they be palaces even, yeah, whether they be a government building, whatever it might be. Yeah, all of them have a beauty. Like I lived in Morocco. In Morocco, they have even the police station. You go to the police station, mashallah, it's beautiful. Even the police station, they have like fountains in the middle, and they made it look really nice. This is how the Muslims were. Everything they made it look beautiful. And even a normal building, at the government, the council building, something like this, everything has that beauty to it. So architecture, Islamic calligraphy, mashallah, like was mentioned. Islamic miniature. They would have small paintings or small pictures that they would put around a book. You know, like if you have like a book and they decorate the book with pictures around it. This was very, very common within a lot of the different books and literature. Islamic glass. So the Muslims created crystal. Does anyone know what crystal is? What is crystal? Anyone know what crystal is? So crystal is like the best type of glass. It's the clearest type of glass. And crystal was first invented in Muslim Spain, in Andalus. Yeah. So what the Muslims would do through glass, they would produce beautiful works of art. So if you look at the churches, you go to the churches today in Europe, all of the churches, they have these like these colorful pictures on them. Yeah. That is from the Muslims. That idea, they took that from the Muslims and then they put their own pictures or whatever they put on. Of different things within their faith. But that idea of that glass with the color and the pictures is from the Muslims. Islamic pottery, yeah, they made many great utensils and things like this. And then of course textile arts, yeah, carpets and embroidery. You go to Turkey, you see some of the most beautiful carpets in the world. You go to Persia, Iraq and Iran and these places, beautiful carpets. Yeah, beautiful clothes. The clothes of all the Muslims everywhere in the world. If you look at the clothes of all of these different countries within the Muslim world, mashallah, they all have beautiful clothes. They have their own style of clothes and they were very unique and beautiful. So one of the things about Islamic art, yeah, it's very diverse. It's very different in different areas. Then, okay, so let's have a look then. Somebody said, what is Islamic? Can you do a mukhtasar? Can you summarize? Can you explain what Islamic art is? These are some of the general features. These are some of the general things we would say. The first thing about Islamic art is, generally, most of the time, there's no pictures of animals or human beings, generally speaking. Yeah, there might be some here and there, but the vast majority of the scholars are of the view that we don't draw animals or the human form. Yeah, so generally, Islamic art will not have pictures of living things.
Haram.
Huh?
It's haram.
There's ikhtilafat, but generally, yeah, generally speaking, that's what the majority of scholars say. Also, what's another key feature, we talked about this in the maths lesson, is geometric patterns. Yeah, they have these patterns. Then we talked about geometry, remember geometry, all the different angles, all the different shapes coming together. Yeah, so geometric patterns are the hallmark. They are the main symbol of Islamic art. Islamic art is recognized. When you see geometric patterns, that's the great sign that you talk about Islamic art now. And this is everywhere. You go to any of the masajids in the world now, and all of them they have these geometric patterns there. And another thing, like I mentioned earlier, is that Islamic art is wasi'. It's very broad, and it covers many different thaqafat, many different dawal, many different places, in many different countries. Each country has its own form of art. But that still all of it links back to an Islamic theme. All of it links back to what I said before. All of this art in all these different countries is trying to show how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at the center of everything. Yeah? And it's also trying to show beauty. Yeah? Okay, Ahmed, I hope you're not distracted anything. Okay. The first one we're going to look at then is Islamic architecture. Yeah, Islamic architecture. What is architecture? Could you remind me? Remind me at the back, what is architecture?
Process or product of building, construction, painting.
Okay, good. It's got that from the handout, so let's have a look. Actually, no, it's not on here. Okay. So it's is it written in the handout? Yeah. So the process of building, did you say? Yeah, so architecture is about designing and making buildings, in essence. It's the subject that relates to designing and making buildings. Yeah, Islamic architecture. Okay, so let's have a look at the Muslims designed 4 types of buildings. So if you look at Islamic architecture, now this is actually all of the things that the non-Muslims are interested in about Islam. I would say the number 1 thing is architecture. So the number 1 thing that attracts people towards Islam is actually architecture. You know, like they go to a masjid, yeah, architecture, and then architecture is right up there actually. It's probably number 1. Yeah, there's a beautiful mosque in Cambridge. There's a mosque that was built in Cambridge recently. This mosque won the award for the building of the year. There in England, it won the award for the best building of that year. Even amongst.
What was that?
So there's a masjid in Cambridge, Cambridge in England. They built a masjid there. This masjid won an award. Yeah, it was the best. For that year, it was the best building of that year. So it shows you how they love Islamic art. And many people will go into a masjid and they will really change their heart just by seeing a beautiful masjid. It will affect them. But like I know people when they go visit Turkey, the masajid in Turkey, mashallah, beautiful masajid, and they'll go in, and many people this will soften their heart towards accepting Islam. Okay, so architecture is really, so if you look at what kind of buildings did the Muslims design? Of course, first and foremost, they would train masajid. Yeah, they would train mosques. So most Islam, when you think about architecture, you're talking about the mosque. Then we have the tomb, there where somebody's buried. Yeah, like we have buried in these types of places. The palace, yeah, like the Alhambra Palace and others. And then the fort. Yeah, the fort is like what, where the soldiers would stay. Yeah, the fortress. So these 4 were the main types of buildings that the Muslims made. Yeah, the mosque, the tomb, the palace, and the fort. Yeah. Also, what else do we have? We have public baths. Yeah, hammamat. Even the public baths of the Muslims, beautiful. You go again to Morocco, you go to Turkey, amazing. You go into the baths, and it's beautiful. Sorry. Sana has them as well, mashallah. Yeah, I'm saying Morocco, that's where I've visited and lived, but I'm sure everywhere in the Muslim world they have this, mashallah. Yeah? So, but that's fountains. Fountains obviously are a very key feature. Yeah? And then also domestic architecture. What does domestic architecture mean? Anybody know?
It's the local one.
Huh?
Local architecture.
Yes, local or domestic here actually is in the house. Yeah. Yeah, like some beautiful things within the house. Very good, yeah, mashallah. So for example, like within a building you might have a small hut or things like that. Or within a larger place you have smaller buildings. Like if you look in Turkey, the masajid in Turkey are huge. So one mosque is not just a mosque, it's a complex. So in the mosque you have the mosque, and then you also have a place like a hospital. You also have a madrasa. You also have a place where they feed the fuqara like this. They have different places. But also, and all of them have their own unique design. Yeah? They have these types of features. So these are all different features of Islamic architecture. Okay, so let's look at some of the features, some of the additional features. Gardens. One of the things you'll see throughout the Islamic world, is many of these buildings will have beautiful gardens. Why do they have? What do you think? Why do they have gardens? Why is there such an emphasis on having gardens?
It's just a place for relaxing.
Yeah, there's definitely that, like, mashallah, when you're in nature, you feel connected, you feel closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, definitely. What else? What is the symbol of the garden? What does it symbolize? Anybody?
Breathe fresh air.
Huh?
To breathe fresh air.
To breathe fresh air, yeah, so you have that element of relaxation, repose, definitely, yeah.
Eliminate mental illness.
Yes, mashallah, yes, and that's very important. They say the best way to live in a mental illness is to be out in nature, to be walking in nature. Yeah, this is a really powerful. Yeah, go on.
Also, one of the symbols of the beauty of the city.
Is what, sorry?
One of the symbols of the beauty of the city. The garden.
Yes, of the beautiful city.
It's like the symbol.
Yes.
Of beauty.
Yes, excellent. It's a symbol of beauty itself, mashallah. But the ultimate symbol for us, God is Jannah. Yeah? Why do we have gardens in this world? Because they are a reminder of the next world. Yeah? This is really, really important. So, you know the idea of gardening. Again now, if you go to the West, you go to the UK, you go to America, especially the UK, they love gardening. Many people now, especially when they become old, you know, when they retire, 60, 70, 80, they just do gardening. They love gardening now. Again, where did they learn gardening from? They learned about gardening from Spain, from the Muslims. They visited some of these people, some of these Christians, they visited Spain and they were amazed. They saw all these, for the first time, they saw flowers and they saw plants and they saw all these beautiful gardens in the houses of the Muslims. And then they went back to their countries and then they started to do the same. Yeah? So these gardens, mashallah, are something that the Muslims took a lot of care of. Yeah? We also found courtyards. Yeah? Courtyards are found in almost every mosque. And this is another critical feature. Domes and minarets, of course. Yeah? And masjid is, you know, what is the greatest symbol of the masjid is the dome itself. Yeah? And then the minaret, which of course has a practical function, is where the adhan is now also called out. Yeah? And again, domes and minarets, there are many different types, and many different types. You can't just say one type of dome or one type of minaret. And this again shows you the beauty of Islam. That Islam is for every country and every place and every time. Yeah? It's not just for, it's not that there's not just one thing they decide. Yeah? One particular size of that. Balconies. Anyone know what a balcony is? What's a balcony? Anybody know?
Just that thing in the house.
Fantastic, very good. Yeah, but you can look out. So you open the door and then you can look out into the street or an outside view. That's a balcony. Again, balconies are used, they're very commonly used in different houses and different places. Ornamentation. Yeah, ornamentation. Like how do you say? It's like zina, isn't it? Like
Decoration. It's like decoration.
Decoration, perfect, decoration. So ornamentation is when you take something and you decorate it, mashallah, yeah? You make it more beautiful. Yeah, so you paint it in a particular way, you basically enhance it and improve it.
Even some tools or utensils can use as ornamentation.
Is that like, sorry?
Even some tools can use as ornamentation.
Some what kind of
Some tools.
tools? Yes, excellent. Yes. So there's some specific tools that are used for ornamentation. Fantastic. Yeah. This is something that was very much about. Go on. All right, guys. So you have Ahmed. You have some homework. Don't forget, you have some homework here. This is your homework, guys. You have to choose two of these to research. Yeah. This is the homework, Ahmed. So don't forget this. So we have gardens, courtyards, domes and minarets, balconies, ornamentation. These 5 things. You have to choose 2 of these. Ahmed maybe has to choose 3 of them. And the rest of you choose 2 of them. Yeah. And you are going to do some research on this for next Wednesday. So we have enough time.
What do you mean research? Like, what do you want?
So find out, like, gardens, what do you mean by Islamic gardens? What type of gardens do they have? What do they look like? Or balconies, what kind of balconies do the Muslims used to have? You see what I mean? Like, what do the Muslims mean by these things? How do they express them? Okay, or courtyards or ornamentation, whatever it might be. Yeah? So you want to take two out of these 5. Yeah? What my students have done in the past is they've made a little presentation. You can do this if you want. You have a PowerPoint like this. They've made a little presentation. Yeah, so if you want to do this, mashallah, you can do this if you want. Yeah, inshallah. Yeah, I look forward to your efforts. Yes, Muhammad, you can WhatsApp it to me. Okay, yeah. So inshallah, so we have these different things, and they're all very important for in terms of Islamic architecture. All of these features are very important to understand. Yeah. So it's good, the more research you can do, the more you can go into yourself, then you have a better understanding of it. Okay, calligraphy. Calligraphy, this is the most well-known khat, yeah? This is the most well-known of all of the Islamic arts, calligraphy, yeah? This is the central art. Now, what do we have here? We say purity of writing is purity of the soul. Anybody know what that means? Purity of writing, yeah, is purity of the soul. Anybody want to explain what that means? Yeah?
It means that what you write down actually think that's what's your inside.
MashaAllah, yes. So writing, what you write down definitely affects what it is even a reflection of within you. Definitely, yeah, go on.
The writing is the translator of your soul.
Yeah, mashallah. Yes, like a light effect. Also very good, mashallah. Yeah? So one thing to say about writing is that nowadays, you know, like you have like detectives and police officers, they will use someone's handwriting to figure out, you know, like let's just say someone has done a crime, someone did a jarima somewhere, the detective, he will find out through using the writing of that person, what kind of, so by your writing they can tell you shakhsiyah, your personality. Is he an angry person? Is he a calm person? Or all these, you can find many things just from your handwriting. There are many things. So your handwriting really is a reflection. Yeah. So purity of writing is purity of the soul. It's a direct reflection. And calligraphy, mashallah, I've met. There's a famous Turkish calligrapher, Ustad Ifdaluddin. That's Ifdaluddin Çelik. Very well known Turkish calligrapher. I met him once. He stayed at my house, mashallah, many years ago. So he learned calligraphy from a master who has Sunnah, going back to one of the great masters of the past. I forget which one of the great masters from the Turkish, from the Ottomans, from the Ottomani. And he said he started learning when he was 17. And he said the calligrapher, he said he would make me write until my hands would bleed. And make your hands would bleed. And he said that the first day he went to his house, the calligrapher, he like knocks on the door, and he said he wouldn't let me come in. He said, no, you won't come in. For 2 to 3 days he had to wait outside the house. Severe. And then he got him in and he's trained him, and now, mashallah, he's one of the best calligraphers in the world. He goes to different places now, he's like a judge. You know, he decides, so he'll go to South America, then next week he's in Malaysia, then he might be in Australia, and he decides which was the best one out of these 5 or 6 people. It's very, very good, mashallah, it's amazing. Very talented, but it's hard. But the point I'm trying to make is calligraphy was very serious. It was a very serious subject amongst the Muslims. Very serious. To be good at calligraphy is not easy. It's not like you just become good at it. You have to work very hard. Just like if you want to become an expert in film, it's not easy, is it? Same thing with calligraphy. You have to work very hard and you have to master it. Yeah? So the Muslims had this idea of itqan. They had this idea of itqan and ihsan in everything. And every single thing that you do it with mastery and with goodness. Okay, so now, where does calligraphy come from? Ultimately, the Quran, the written word of the Quran, this is the basis of all calligraphy. Yeah? The Quran was written out many times in beautiful ways, and that's how calligraphy developed. Yeah? This is another one of the mu'jizat of the Quran actually, is that from the Quran has come this beautiful art form of calligraphy. Yeah? Perhaps the greatest art form that we have as Muslims. Yeah? So again, it shows you the vastness of the Quran. Not only is the Quran the foundation, it's the asl of every subject, like we said. The Quran is the foundation of every science, so we said that, didn't we? But also even when it comes to the arts, look at it, the impact. Yeah? So there's many different styles. You've got the Kufic style from Kufa, from Iraq, you've got Nasr, Thuluth, and many other styles. I think they mentioned this, I think there's 8, someone correct me if they know better, I think there's 8 main styles. 8 to 10 maybe, I forget the exact number. But there's a number of main styles that people use for writing, for khat. Yeah? And then there's many others underneath that, we call subcategories. But there's 8 big main ones, something like that. So there's a number of main ones, and then there's others that are okay. So calligraphy was used to adorn, to decorate mosques and homes. Yeah? As well as for writing books in a beautiful way. Yeah? Particularly the Quran itself. The Quran was written, mashallah, in wonderful, beautiful ways, many times. Handwrite the Quran. This was something that was well known in the Muslim world. Okay, a couple of other things. Then we've got Islamic miniatures. What are Islamic miniatures? These are small paintings on paper. So like I said, if you have a book and then around the edge of the book you might put a picture there on each page like that. These are what we call Islamic miniatures. Yeah? So they were used to decorate books, to decorate them, to make them more beautiful, and also manuscripts as well. Yeah? Again, there's 4 types here. So we've got Islamic miniatures in Arabic, yeah, like within the Arabic form. Then we've got the Mughal form. Mughal is like from India, yeah, the Muslims of England, the Mughal dynasty, they would use this one. Then you've got the Ottomans, Uthmani, then you've got the Persians, yeah, like the Farsi style. So you've got these 4 different types. Yeah, so it wasn't just in Arabic. If you look at calligraphy, it's really all in Arabic because the essence of calligraphy is the Quran. But when we start to look at other art, we see that each area, each culture, each country or place has their own style. Yeah. Okay, other art forms. Then what else do we have? You find art forms in pottery and glass. Yeah. So I think I mentioned this to you guys last time that you know the bowls that the Muslims would eat from. Now they put them on auction in London, Sotheby's, Christie's. These are really famous auction houses. They put them on auction and they sell for hundreds of thousands, something even millions of pounds. Amazing that it's because again, like I said at the start, the human being, naturally the insan, he has a fitra within him or her, and they appreciate beauty. You can't help it. Something's beautiful, you can't help but appreciate it. And this is why it's very important for Muslims, if you are serious about da'wah, if you want non-Muslims to become Muslim, then perhaps the most important thing we can do is to become skillful in art. Yeah? Perhaps it's the best way. Because if you're talking through art, then you are, it's very gentle. It's with looks, isn't it? You're just showing the beauty of Islam. You aren't explaining and preaching and saying this is the truth and you have to follow it. Yes, it's a very gentle way, and this is good for people. People like to be told with looks instead of telling them this is the truth and this is the evidence and this is the truth. When you start to bring dalil, people don't like this. They don't want to see proofs because it makes them feel like they are stupid or something like this and they're silly. And it's better to present Islam in these beautiful ways. Yeah. Alright, textiles, i.e. clothes. Yeah, clothes. This was the main way that the Muslim made money. What was the Muslim economy? Yeah, what the iqtisad of the Muslims. What was it on? Most of the money that they made came from making clothes. In a beautiful way. Yeah, so the clothes were beautifully decorated. And people would pay like a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of US dollars by modern standards, hundreds of thousands of US dollars for clothes. And the people would get a lot of money. And of course, like I said before, we had carpets and rugs. Carpets and rugs were also beautifully decorated. Okay. So now we're going to look at some examples. And really, my apologies, Sami Huni, because I should have brought some pictures. I didn't think it's better. And maybe for next lesson, it's better to show you pictures instead of telling you examples. When you see pictures, you see the beauty. So my apologies for that. I should have brought some pictures. But we have the Dome of the Rock. We know the Dome of the Rock, yeah, in Jerusalem, of course. Yeah. The Dome of the Rock is the most beautiful building in the world, according to many non-Muslims. You know, many non-Muslims were like experts, mutakhasisun fil fan, especially in the tarikh, in the history of art. Many of them, they say that the most beautiful building in the world is the Dome of the Rock. Like one of them, I forget his name now, there's one from the UK, he said that the Dome of the Rock, he said, is the perfect building. He said everything about it is arranged in the most, you couldn't arrange it any better. Everything is lined up in the best possible way. It's the perfect building. That's what he said about it when he studied it. Yeah, mashallah. And it was built very early on. The Dome of the Rock was very early on, wasn't it? The Taj Mahal, you know the Taj Mahal in India. Again, one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. Yeah, one of the 7 ajaib of the world, as they call it. Yeah, that's the Taj Mahal. Again, very, very famous. Now, if you look at India, India has a big history, a long history. And they have Hindus in India, most of them are Hindus, you have Sikhs, you have Buddhists in India, and you have Muslims. But if you look at the beautiful art, it's from the Muslims. Why isn't it from the Hindus? It's more Hindus where they couldn't produce this beauty. Whereas the Muslims, mashallah, they produced this beauty when they were aligned with the fitrah. Yeah? So you go to Taj Mahal. You go to Alhambra Palace in Spain. The same thing, look at Spain. Spain is a Christian country. Spain has been a Christian country for over 500 years. But they haven't been able to make one building like the Alhambra. Why not? Since 1492, now it's what? That's 500 and what? 531 years. Over 500 years, Spain has been a Christian country. But they have not been able to make even one building that is as beautiful as Alhambra Palace. So even now when you go to Spain, this is the best place to visit. The most popular place to visit in Spain is Alhambra Palace. Whether you're advertising, whether you're doing like advertising, come to Spain, what's the picture on the front? The Alhambra Palace. Whether you're advertising, come to India. What's the picture Taj Mahal? Even the Israelis, you know when they advertise come to Israel, they have a dome on the rock. Wallahi, they have a dome on the rock, even with advertising it, because they know that's what people will want to visit it for. You know, they want to come for the tourist siyaha. Their first picture is the dome on the rock. The Indians as well, first the Taj Mahal, the Christians, all of these people, they all hate Islam, they dislike Islam. The Christians, how many Muslims did they kill? The ones in Spain, they killed many Muslims after they took over Spain. The Hindus, not know what the Hindus are doing right now to the Muslims in India, subhanAllah. Very bad. They're burning mosques, they're killing people, they're even attacking women. So it's a very bad situation, But yeah, when they want to advertise their country, then they'll bring the Muslims in. What else? Another beautiful example is the Qur'ans, the original Qur'ans, and especially during the period of the Mongols. So again, if you ask people, what is the most beautiful book? What's the most beautiful book that was ever written? They will mention there was one Qur'an that was written in 1261, during the time of the Mongols. One of the Mongol emperors, he asked for an artist to write this Qur'an. I forget the name of the emperor now. Yeah, so what happened now is when this emperor asked for this Quran to be commissioned, it was produced. That now is recognized as being the most beautiful book. Yeah? So the most beautiful building in the world, from the most beautiful book in the world, also from the Muslims. Yeah? And like I said, all of these things that I'm saying, this is from non-Muslims. I'm not telling you that the Muslims say this. These are non-Muslims. People who don't believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, but they have to accept, they have to admit that this is, mashallah, the most beautiful of things. Yeah? We have what we call the Hilya Sharif. Does anyone know what the Hilya Sharif is here? What was developed in Turkey? Anyone know what the Hilya Sharif? No? Oh, subhanAllah, we should know what Hilya Sharif is. The Hilya Sharif is, we have the famous hadith of Sayyidina Ali. You know Sayyidina Ali's hadith when he's describing the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And we know this hadith, when he's describing, he's doing the Gospel of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What the Turks did was they wrote this, mashallah, really beautiful calligraphy and decoration. It's called the Hilya. It's like a written portrait of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yeah, again, I should have brought a picture of this. This is my own tafsir, my own shortcomings. Yeah, the Hilya is beautiful. So they produce this now. Again, mashallah ta'ala, if you see it, it's amazing. Yeah, and it's called the description of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yeah, you know, does anyone here know the hadith? There's one hadith of Sayyidina Anas and there's one hadith of Sayyidina Ali. Does anyone know this hadith? No? You know this hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the physical description of his khalq from Sayyidina Ali. You know this? Man ra'ahu badihatan haba, that hadith. So they've written this out in Turkey, they did this distortion. It's beautiful, and they call it the Hilya Sharif, and they write it in beautiful ways, and this is now given as gifts, presented to people as a gift. Really beautiful, mashallah. So that's again is a good example. Another example, we have the rugs from the Persians. Persian rugs, again, on many different designs, many different types. Just like we have the Persian rug, we also have the Turkish rugs, we have the Moroccan rugs, and all of these different countries from the Muslim lands, all of them produce art. Again, it's far more beautiful. I'll give you an example. You know, today now, if you live in England, and imagine you are from the richest people, the Agniya, like the lords and these people in England are the highest people. And let's just say I have millions of pounds, and I'm like a very rich person in England, and I want to design a house. Yeah, so I have as much money as I want, and I want to design a house. Have a guess what kind of a house? Where would they go to design a house? Anybody have a guess? Do you think they'll make a house like an English style house? No. So who will they copy? Does anybody know who will they copy? Imagine that you're the richest person in one of the richest people in England. You have millions and millions of pounds. You want to make the perfect house, the most beautiful house. Who are you going to copy? Are you going to copy the English style? No. So who do you think they copy?
Yemeni style.
Huh? Yemeni style. No. Unfortunately, not Yemeni style, mashallah. Anybody know?
We have great verses here.
Mashallah. Don't say anything bad about it. Maybe they don't know the Yemeni style. Maybe we need to advertise it better.
The tallest minaret in the world, Mad
Yeah.
Minaret.
Yeah. No, there is
The
the
biggest palace, Mad in Sion also.
MashaAllah, yeah, no, there's a lot of, and even in Sana'a, the architecture in Sana'a is very unique. It's mentioned in all over the world, to be honest. Yeah,
Usually the higher the Indian one.
the Indian, say that again, sorry?
The higher Indian view.
No, not Indian. You know what they call it? The Moroccan, the Maghrebi style. They use the Zelij tiling because they can see that this is beautiful. Yeah, so you see now some of these Moroccans, subhanAllah, come to England and maybe in 1 month will make like £1 million or something. They go back to Morocco because they are the experts of this. So they'll bring them in and they'll get them to design. So their houses, sometimes walking it's like
So they work as designers, house designers.
Yes, so they have tiling. You know the tile for the wall. There's a special type called Zelij tiling. Zelij. This is what they use in Morocco. So it's like this. It's a very particular style. How to describe? Again, I should have brought pictures with me for you guys to understand this. But this is how they design houses. The wealthy. So again, look at this. They understand where beautiful things are. And these same wealthy people, they are the ones who will spend 1 million, 2 million pounds just to get one wall that the Muslims should build from, something like this. Because they can see that this is the best. If it wasn't the best, they wouldn't buy it, would they? They would buy something else. But why are they not buying the Chinese? The Chinese culture is much older than the Islamic culture. Why are they not buying the Indian? They're not, because it's not as beautiful. They understand that fitrah is telling them that this is beautiful. This is more beautiful than anything else. Yeah. That's why they'll go and hire him all the way from Morocco instead of using somebody in England. Because they don't care about the money, they'll pay anything. So they just want the best. So when they were looking for the best, they go for that because they understand this is the pinnacle, this is the peak. This is the highest level. And then like I said, Quran is saying crystal. Crystal is the highest form of glass. It's the most pure form of glass. And they would use this to make many, like if you look at the lamps that they would make, yeah, and many other things that they would use from, even the glasses that they would drink from, and things like this. All of this, the best glass in the world is the crystal from Muslim Spain, from Andalusia, that they developed and made things from. Yeah. So there's many other examples we could give. Islamic art really is an amazing topic. It's an amazing topic, and it's from our shortcomings. It's from our taqsir as Muslims that we don't know enough about Islamic art. Someone was telling me, I think that some of the, like, mashallah, Habib Abu Bakr Adani, rahimahullah, was a great artist. This Habib Shihabuddin, recent Ayn al-Tabi was a great artist. So many of these, mashallah, this is something that is interesting. Yeah, so my wife was telling me this. She visited his family and she saw some of his paintings, mashallah. So this is something that's very, very important. That just within the human being, art is very important.
Even now, they have some like calligrapher, they have good.
MashaAllah, here in Yemen. Okay, now.
Recently they did the course at the Mudad.
Okay,
Last
brilliant.
week they did.
Oh, MashaAllah,
There's a guy called the Sri, what's his name? Sri. He did
Okay,
the
I would
course.
love to visit him because I wasn't thinking we made. I would love to visit him, MashaAllah. Excellent, yeah, very good. Yes, even to this day, and even in Turkey, I said to this day in Turkey, there are people with Sanad in calligraphy. Masters of, absolutely amazing. Really, and many other countries as well, I'm sure. It'd be interesting, yes. Nice to hear this as well. This is very, very important for the human being. Yeah. So these are some examples. Okay. Now, the question then: which Islamic art form was the greatest of all? So just to confirm how much time. So, in terms of visual arts, like just read, we would say. In terms of visual arts, we would say calligraphy. For things that we can look at, calligraphy is the most beautiful. Yeah. But however, overall, many would argue the greatest art form of the Muslims is poetry. Yeah? Poetry is the greatest. The sound is okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that the greatest art form of what is poetry. Yeah? So sorry, I won't give you that. I want the definition from you. Actually, what is poetry? How do you explain poetry? You're a poetic man, mashallah.
Maybe verses that usually have the same rhythm.
Alright, okay, good. That's a good definition. That's like a very istilahi, technical definition. Yeah, that. Yeah, yeah, mashallah. Anybody? What's poetry?
It's you can say expression written in a specific way. Where
Yes.
They do it, for example, special rights and rhythms.
Fantastic. So expressing something in a beautiful way. Yeah. So it's expressing a thought, an idea, whatever it might be, in a beautiful way. Let's have a look. This is the definition. It's a literary work, so it's something that we write, in which the expression of feelings and ideas, yeah, afkar wa shurur, yeah, feelings and ideas are given intensity. They're made stronger. They're given intensity by the use of distinctive style and rhythm, poems constitute as a genre of literature. Yeah? So it's where you have a feeling or an idea and you express it in the most beautiful and the best possible way. Yeah? Okay. Alright. What makes a good point? What do you think? What makes a good point? Like, what is the difference between good poetry and bad poetry? What makes a good poet, do you think? Any ideas? What do you think? You're not sure? Anybody else? What makes a good poet? Yourself at the back? Give me a right at the back. Yeah, but just tap in. Yeah, you. What makes a good poem? So what's the difference between good poetry and bad poetry?
The nature, just you like it.
Okay, maybe. Okay, so silent thing is something like this. However you feel, when your feeling is towards it, you just naturally like it. What do you think? Well, what's the difference? You're not sure? Anybody else?
The words itself.
The word. Okay, yeah. Word. Yes, specifically the words that are chosen. Okay. Yeah, Bismillah.
It's characterized by special style and rhyme.
Okay, so it's got a distinctive style. Yeah. Okay, good. I mean, what I would say is that there isn't really a correct answer to this, but generally they say poetry is beauty of language and expression, but also it's beauty is when you're expressing a feeling within you. This is what a sha'ir does. The poet is able to express something that we feel, but we can't put into words ourselves. Like love, for example, we can't explain love. So the poet can explain love in a way that, mashallah ta'ala, now you can start to understand it. So something that you feel, but you can't express it. But the poet comes and he expresses exactly how you feel it. Yeah, so poetry, mashallah, is powerful. Okay, and then the final thing here, what is praise poetry? What is praise poetry? Praise poetry.
Saying something good about someone.
Yes, so it's poetry which praises somebody else, which extols their virtues, which, yeah, exactly, elevates them or talks about their qualities in a beautiful
Like
way.
wisdom, or like a king.
Yes,
Saying the good thing of even.
yeah, exactly. That was this was very common. In those days, if you write a good poem for a king, mashallah, you're now going to receive a lot of money, or you're going to be important now, you're going to be in the inner circle of the king. So one final thing here, this is a good place to stop because within Rabi al-Awwal, they mentioned, so one of the historians of Islam, he says that if you look at the poetry of the Muslims, the majority of the poetry of the Muslims is actually in praise of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So many of the great poems, we find this a lot, for example, in many languages. Urdu is a good example. You know Urdu, the language of the Pakistanis and the Indians and other places. There's thousands, hundreds, or even millions of poems praising the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Turks and Turkish as well, many poems. Of course in Arabic, but in all of these different languages. So what does this mean? It means that the Muslims, when they want you to express their love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's very difficult to express. How do you explain how much you love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It's the poetry. And even the poetry just gives you a glimpse, it doesn't give you the full picture. But alhamdulillah, what they are feeling, they are giving you a feeling of that. It's very powerful. It's a chance to connect back to that poet himself. What is in his heart is as if he's putting it on paper, so you can connect to that expression from him. Yeah, mashallah. So many will say that poetry is the greatest of all of the art forms. Khalas, yeah, mashallah. Yeah, so this is Islamic art and architecture, which, like I mentioned, is a very important topic. So what's your homework, Ahmed? What's the homework? We can stop the live stream, mashallah. What's the homework, Ahmed? Homework. Here, let me show you. This is the homework, yeah? Can you see this? We have gardens, courtyards, domes and minarets, balconies, ornamentation. You have to choose 2 of these topics and you have to do some research, bahas. You understand? Yes, Ahmed, everybody, not just you, everybody. Yeah? You have to everybody has to do this thing. You choose 2 of these topics and you do some research. Yeah? And the best thing you can do, inshallah, Ahmed inshallah will do this, you do a presentation like this, do a PowerPoint presentation, yeah? You ready for this? You can have some nice pictures in there. Yeah, mashallah. I will show you actually, what I will do next week inshallah, I will show you that I told this to some children and it's just beautiful PowerPoints. I will show you what they did. Yeah, I will show you what they did. Very, very nice. I'll bring it in next time actually. To give you some examples. Inshallah you will have them as well, yeah? So gardens, courtyards, you know, if it's too hard, then just do one just on art in general. Yeah? So if this is too hard, since it's too hard, okay, then just do some research on Islamic art in general, Ahmed, that's not a problem. Yeah? But just do something. Yeah? Do something. Yes, Ahmed? Yeah, do something. Yeah? Just, so if you can't choose these gardens because it's too difficult, then just do something about Islamic art. What is Islamic art? But I don't like what we've learned in this lesson. I want you to present in your own words. Yeah, that's easy. Or if you want to, then I will choose 2 of these topics and I will come to them. Inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so we're going to stop there because we're going to stop a bit early today because Salatul Maghrib is coming back and back. So we're going to stop there so we won't have a chance to read this lecture.
There's courtyards here.
Courtyard? What's a courtyard?
Is it like court place? The one that
No. So what do you call a courtyard? I've forgotten. On many of these houses have a courtyard in the middle. What do you call it in the...
This is like farm.
No. It's the place in the middle. Like here, like a bigger house, you go in, they have an open space in the middle. Yeah, that's the point. What do you call it in Arabic?
Shims. Here they call Shims.
Shams?
And the Basra used to have it because it gives the sun inside the
Okay.
Shims.
Okay, there is another word for it also. There's another word for it. What's the word for courtyard in Arabic? Courtyard. Hosh. There you go. Hosh. That's what it is, yeah? So the Muslims are beautiful courtyards that normally will have a fountain in the middle. So again, if you visit, like Morocco is a good example of this. If you visit the masajid in Morocco, the beautiful courtyard, a nice fountain in the middle. Okay guys, inshallah, so we'll stop there.
Here they call it Dahiya, the masjid. Dahiya they call it. In the masjid they call it Dahiya.
The masjid is called Dahiya. Okay, I didn't
In
understand.
the house, Rosh.
House, yes. So here is both types. Both doors will be in the masjid are also in this home. And so it's both types.
Yeah.